What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who this is. It's the Dad Bod God, baby. It's Piers Austin. And tonight, we have a great show for you tonight. We got Redshaw from RCW coming on, the Emerald Crown champion holder. I'm excited to have him on. Back and forth. We've been following each other on social media for a while. He's been doing some great things. He's got a big matchup coming up in April 15th against the RCW heavyweight champion. So, it's going to be an exciting show, that one. So we're going to talk about that and much, much more. But before we get into it, I need to take a quick second, a quick pause, baby, to thank one of our amazing sponsors, and that is Sleefs.com. That is SLEEFS, Sleefs.com. If you or someone you know is an athlete, you need to check out Sleefs. They've got all your athletic gear and wear covered. They've got your armbands, your compression pants, your compression shorts, your headbands, boots, mouth guards, and they've even got those dirty boxes that you always know that your boy is rocking. So, guys, go and check out Sleefs.com. Get your hands on some of those dirty boxes. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Also, wherever you are joining us, I appreciate you for tuning in. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the bell to stay notified. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. I appreciate it. It helps with our analytics and it helps grow this channel. And it also brings more amazing conversations to more amazing fucking people like yourself. So let's fucking grow it. But tonight, we have a very special guest. As I said, we got Redshaw in the building. He's waiting to come on out. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone, sit back, relax, baby, because it's Shooting the Shit with Redshaw. Yeah! Boom, we're live. Redshaw, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you giving up your time on a Thursday evening to talk to me, brother.
No, of course, Piers. No, I'm keen as, man. And just from, watching that video again, seeing all the great people that have been on this show, feel honoured to actually make the list. So, like you said in the intro, I've been following you for a while now. So, complete honour to come on here.
Man, I appreciate that, bro. I've also been following you, man, as I said in the intro, man, and I've been impressed. And I'm actually looking forward to, because I know it's probably in the workings that you're going to get booked in New South Wales sooner or later. And I'm really interested to be on a show with you. So I'm pretty sure that will most likely happen. But, dude, yourself, you've been in wrestling, what? I think I looked at it, 3 years you broke into the business, roughly?
So I started in 2019, and then about a year into training, started having matches. So this is going on my 4th year of matches. And I have actually been to New South Wales just a couple times in a smaller promotion there, Wrestle Strong Dojo.
Okay, yeah.
So you've had a couple trips to New South Wales, which has been cool. But I'm definitely looking to break into some of the bigger promotions there, which would be really cool.
Yeah,
So,
man,
yeah.
absolutely. So, what made you decide to get into wrestling? Like, was it like big fan, or was it like, you're athletic, you've seen it and gone, I can give that a crack?
Yeah, I guess it's the same story you probably hear from everyone. Big fan of it growing up. But I grew up in a country town, 3 hours from Adelaide. And when I'm left there, come to Adelaide, start studying, working, you sort of lose touch with wrestling. And I didn't know that it was actually a thing around Adelaide, until I actually started working at a gym with the man himself, Rocky Monero. And he saw that I liked wrestling one day. He started talking to me about it, and he was like, "Well, this is me." I was like, "What? Bullshit." I was like, "No, this is me." I was like, "Oh, alright." And he's like, "Here's a show, come check it out." So I went to a Riot City show, and from that day on, I was in the crowd, and then as soon as I heard about the tryouts, took me a few every time there was a tryout, I had something on, so it took me a while to build up to it. I was called a pussy a few times, but then I finally, did the tryout, got through it, and rest is history now, I guess.
I mean, you look like a pretty athletic, like, dude, right? So, do you like? Were you pretty athletic coming into it? Like, how was your level of fitness before you actually went? All right, I'm going to go and do this tryout.
Yeah, so I've played, sport all my life, so football, basketball, and then when I moved to Adelaide, I started, obviously hitting the gym a lot, PT, by trade. And then I, got into powerlifting. So I did powerlifting for a few years, and then I did a few competitions, that sort of stuff. So I was competing regularly in the powerlifting, and then
Yeah,
when I started the wrestling, doing the both together just was not working. Just the body was trashed. So I saw what was going to be beneficial for me in the future, where I could actually go somewhere, and that was going to be the wrestling. So then I put the focus into that. So fitness and strength level was at a pretty good level going into the tryouts and the starting. Um, so yeah, I think I had a bit of a leg up in that situation, but it's a completely different ball game, obviously, when you start wrestling compared to basketball and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I felt that was a great benefit.
how like with the powerlifting stuff? Like, how heavy were you going with that? Like, what were you kind of like your heaviest numbers there?
So the best I got deadlift wise was 270
Mm,
kilos.
Jesus.
Squatted 220, I think. And bench, which I'm shit at, was about 120, 125 in my that was in my state competition. So they were my best numbers that I put up.
Mm.
Um, got
Those are
my
impressive numbers, though.
Yeah, no, no, very, very happy and very impressed with what I could do. I was able to take out my class, got a nice gold medal, and after that, I thought, "Oh, well, I think I can focus on the wrestling now," and give the body a little bit of a rest until I started taking all the bumps, and I thought, "Well, maybe powerlifting might be the way to go instead." But now we've
Mm.
stayed with the wrestling, so
Like, how much like toll does powerlifting take on your body, though?
yeah, if you're not, I guess if you're not doing the right recovery and stuff like that, like anything, it can really bang you up and damage you. And when I was just doing it by itself, I was having the right rest days and the right recovery and stuff like that, and so I wasn't too bad. But then add in wrestling training into that, the
Mm.
body was just not holding up. Back was really hurting, legs were hurting more than usual. So yeah, something had to give, and that was it.
Yeah, man. No, 100%. I mean, I think the recovery time is so important. And like, I think especially when you're a lot younger, you think you can go a lot harder than what you can go. Like my cousin, he's like got a teenage son, and like this kid is the most athletic kid you will ever see. Like he's almost doing sports 7 days a week. And I think they've just started scaling shit back so he can sort of just rest and recover a bit. But it was like nuts. And I think that like the rest and recovery is so important because if you don't get that, your body just gets worn down and you're at greater risk of getting injured.
Yeah, 100%. You go flat out, and then all of a sudden you wake up and your knees are hurting, and your joints and everything are hurting that weren't hurting a couple of years ago. So yeah, you've got to start the tailor it back, or really invest in rest and recovery. Stretching, ice baths, all that sort of stuff. Been through it all, so you got to make sure you're doing that. Even if you're just a dude that goes to wrestling training, say 2 nights a week, has a match now and again,
Mm.
it's still very, very important to do that recovery. Yeah, otherwise you're just going to pay for it in the end, especially when the years tack on.
Oh, 100%. How intense are the ice baths though?
uh, yeah, at first, when you first start doing them, they're pretty full on.
Mm.
You're just shaking and shivering. You don't want to be there, but when you get used to it, once you're sitting in it, you're fine. I find that as soon as you stay still, you're perfect. As soon as you move a muscle, like move your arms or legs, that's when the cold just really seeps in.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but you just think of the like what it's going to do for you. So it's one of those like like meal prep and stuff like that. I'm doing this for a reason, and I know
Yeah.
what's going to come out of it. So if it takes up all my time or it's freezing cold and I hate it, it's going to benefit me in the long run. So I'm just going to have to nut in and do it.
Yeah, no, 100%. How was it growing up in like a small town environment and being like a wrestling fan? Like, was there many was there people you could talk about wrestling with back then? Was it like, you know what I mean? Like, did you have friends that were into it? Because, I think especially in Australia, depending on like when you grew up as well, on like when how hot WWE was or how hot the wrestling in general was at the time, is how many like other fans will be around. But like for you in a small country town, like was there many people there that were into professional wrestling?
There was a few that sort of come and went. One of my friends in primary school was who got me into wrestling. Went around his house one day and he's playing the games. I think it was like SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain or something like that. And
Yeah.
he's playing the games, and I'm like, "What the hell is this?" And then he showed me. He's got all the DVDs and stuff like that. He was an absolute nut wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So that got me into it, and then started borrowing the DVDs and stuff like that, and watching it, and going, "Oh, this is amazing."
Mm,
I didn't have any Foxtel or anything like that, so could just watch what I could on the internet, wherever it could pop up on the WWE website, stuff like that. And then just over time, people would come and go, and it
yeah.
wasn't like a real known thing that I was into the wrestling. I just do watch that at home and hang out and beat the shit out of my brothers and stuff like that. Yeah, it wasn't like I was hiding it.
Yeah.
It was just my thing, and I did that. I watched that at home and hung out with it. And people, if I found out people knew about it, I talked to them about
Mm.
it. But yeah, it wasn't huge. But yeah, that was
Were your
fine. That was
brothers
good.
into it as well?
Yeah, my brothers are into it. They loved it as well. They sort of grew out of it a bit quicker than I did, but they
Yeah.
still come. They love coming to the matches still and watching me.
Yeah.
They get a good kick out of it. They think it's hilarious. So yeah, no, that it was good to have them along with it as well and enjoying it. And even Dad got into it and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it made it a lot better.
God, so how many brothers is it? The two other brothers? So
Yeah, I've got two brothers, one older and one younger. Um,
I can just imagine your house, like three sons growing up in this house, just like doing wrestling moves on each other in the lounge room and in the bedrooms and shit.
Yeah, so I got my ass kicked for a while, and then I did the ass kicking when he left and got on the little brother, and then he started to shoot up a bit, and then we got a bit more matched, and then yeah,
And
that was on
then you
then.
became a tag team.
Yeah, pretty much, and then it wasn't in the house, it was at the pubs, and then it got a bit out of control.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. I can imagine. But like have you ever like what you said like at the pubs, like were you like getting into like real like legit fights and using wrestling moves in like a shoot fight or
Oh, no, not so much shoot fights, just, you mess around with your mates, and then you might
oh
just randomly do an amateur takedown out of nowhere, like, not knowing that you're doing wrestling moves, you're just throwing them around and carrying on, and
yeah.
then if shit got real, it was more, obviously real, but yeah, you're just throwing each other around the pubs just as country boys do, having a good time, so, yeah, not knowing what moves we're actually doing, we're just picking each other up and throwing each other and seeing what happens, so.
How did you find like going from like being coming from a country town and then moving to like a major city? Like was that kind of like shocking to you or like was that a culture shock to you in a way?
Uh, I guess lucky Adelaide is such a small, sleepy city that it
Mm,
wasn't too much. I spent a lot of time coming down to Adelaide when I was in year 12. I was doing my Cert 3 at the same time, so I was coming down
yeah.
to Adelaide once a week. So I was able to drive around Adelaide and get my bearings a bit better. So when I did move here, it wasn't as big of a shock.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, obviously, like going from a town where you walk down the street and you just know people and you talk to people to here where no one wants to talk to you and people avoid you and stuff like that until you start to get to know people and stuff like
sure.
that. So yeah, it was a little bit, but then after a year or so, it was just sort of the norm. I was able to sort of slot in, and I guess being from a country town, you're a bit more, oh, I guess outgoing and friendly, so you can pick up
Sure.
conversations a bit easier and find mates a bit easier. And then obviously joining a sport team was good, straight into footy. My
Mm,
schoolmates that were already here from previous years. was able just to slot in with them and then go from there.
Yeah, like have a certain level of comfort, while you're there. But you said like training, you started training wrestling, and then within a year you were having matches on shows.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
did you did you feel like you were ready when the time was come for that first match? Like, how did you feel? Because I speak to a lot of people and a lot of guys and girls and everyone usually say, I didn't think I was ready, but they thought I was ready. What was your take on it? Were you like, let's go, baby?
Mate, some days I still don't think I'm ready, but no, I think the thing that really helped me, like I felt I wasn't ready. The same old story. They thought I was, but the thing that really helped me was for about 6 months I was a referee. Um, so I got brought in as a ref for a special enforcer. I was called for a Tyler Daniels Rocky Monero match. Got my
Yeah.
head super kicked off in the first 1 minute and pretty much laid on the ground for the whole match, but that was great. But having that I refed about probably 15 matches or so. Say
Yeah.
having that experience of being in the ring, crowd, the wrestlers, the movement, the pacing, just being around top guys like I've refed Rocky, Chris
Mm,
Basso, Zach Sabbath, those sort of guys, to be in there with them and to get a first-hand real look of how it actually they interact with the crowd. I thought, okay, going into the match, I had a bit more of a leg up than a guy that just goes, all right, hey, you're having a match next week at this show without
mm,
having any sort of in ring experience. So I thought I was probably more ready than I could have been,
yeah.
than a guy just, getting picked out. So, yeah,
I
um,
feel like that's a good way for people to really come in, like especially for trainees to sort of get used to being in the ring, used to being in front of the crowd. As you said, the movements and the pacing and the timing and things like that. Whereas, like, like I've seen shows where like they have trainees as the referees, and yeah, I've seen this one trainee just being like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a referee," and I'm like, dude, you get to be in the main event. Like,
mm,
you get to be
oh,
like nearly. I said, you're in the ring more than anyone else. You're the only ref on this show. There's 8 matches. You're front and center, mate. Like I said,
yeah,
look at that, and you're going to gain so much experience tonight. I said, look
no,
at it as an opportunity, and
100%.
he was just like, he couldn't see it, bro. Like you couldn't see the forest from the trees. You know what I mean?
No, 100%, and I guess lucky for me, I was a bigger guy, so I stood out as a referee. Got the
Mm.
comments of, "Hey, he's more jacked than the wrestlers. He shouldn't be reffing," that sort of shit. But like I was in a big match at HQ refereeing Chris Basso and Rocky Monero. I got the slam Rocky Monero at HQ, which was a big, huge nightclub we had here,
Mm.
in front of 300 fans. It was that sort of opportunity just doesn't come to someone who's just doesn't take those opportunities that are there, like you said. You get a few rookies these days that will bitch and moan if they got to do the refereeing or the ring boy grabbing the gear or the
Mm.
camera or something like that. Like doing the camera, you're right there. You can see it all right firsthand in the ring. So
Yeah.
putting your hand up and doing those opportunities, like doing those jobs and taking those opportunities when they're given to you, gives you a huge, huge leg up to just being like. And then obviously you'll get picked quicker because you're actually helping and doing something that we need. Instead of the guys that just sit back and go, "No, I'm too good for that. I'm too good for that," and then they wonder why, "Oh, why are all my peers in my class getting picked before me?"
Yeah,
So
exactly. It's because they're the
yeah,
ones willing to put in the work and show out and show up.
yeah,
And
100%.
and that's like anything though. Like anything that you do, it's like if you put the effort in, and if people put the effort into it, and the effort is like I mean, like the proof is there, right?
Yeah,
People see it, and if you're doing it, people are seeing it. They're gonna go, "Oh, you know what? We need someone for this spot. You know what? That blah 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 blah.
yeah.
They've been here every week, blah blah blah. Every show they're here from start to finish. You know what I mean? Like those are the people that get opportunities because those are the ones that put themselves out there for them.
No, 100%. And we've had a couple. We've got Mr. Cliff and Vinny at Riot City, who with that they were there every week. They were training 3 nights a week. They were doing the shit jobs. They were doing everything they could. And as soon as we needed someone, those guys were picked, and they're flourishing now already. So yeah, just goes to show if you actually put in the work and show up, showing up's the first step. You know,
Mm.
you see some of these guys, rookies, guys that have been around for maybe as long as me, longer than me, and then you don't see them at training, you don't see them helping out, and then they expect to be picked, you know, booked. And some of the time, you know, they don't get booked, they get shitty. But it's just like, well, where have you been? You know, where these rookies are doing all the jobs, they're going to get the matches. Don't complain, you know. It's. I guess you know if you're a 10, 12-year vet, I obviously understand. But if you're like me,
Mm.
5, 6 years in, and you think you're entitled, mate, I take every opportunity I get. I don't care if I'm having a 2-minute squash match or I'm having a 15-minute, you know, banger.
Oh, no, yeah.
I'll go and do it because I want to be on that show, and I don't think I deserve to be on every show. So if I get it, let's
Mm.
go. You know. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's like you got to treat every show as like an opportunity because it's like putting on a show costs money. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it costs money, so they put people on shows that they think are going to make them, you know, a profit essentially. So it's like they're investing in you. They're saying like,
yeah,
hey, I need to book you. They're going to pay you. This is the situation. You know what I mean? Like it's funny. Like I had a veteran on not long ago by the name of King Mega from the United States, a good friend of mine, and he told me about a situation a couple years ago on the Indies in a locker room. You know, this is a guy who's a 20-year vet, walked in the locker room, and all the like trainees and stuff like that are sitting there on their phones like this, just and he's like, not one of them got up and shook his hand.
mm,
And he was like, and he just went, all right, that's it. He goes, you can't sit in any of the chairs if you've been in the business 10 years or less, or
yeah,
in less than under 10 years.
yeah,
You can't be in the locker room unless you've been in the business by 5 years or more. So if
yeah,
you're
yeah,
5 years or under 5 years, fuck off. And he
yeah,
kicked all these trainees out. And one of the guys brought in MJF, right, when he was on the Indies.
yep.
And he was like, he goes, hey, can he come in the locker room? And he goes, how long you been in the business? And Max goes, 4 years. And he goes, get the fuck out. And he went, okay. And he goes, hey, and he told him, he said, don't have heat with me. Have heat with those idiots out there. And he
Yeah,
just, and he was just like, yeah, no, I get, like, he understood what was going on. He just went, okay, I got it. And
yeah,
and Mega told me, he's like, he saw Max recently at an AEW show and they were talking. He's like, you know, that situation. He goes, oh no, I understood exactly what you did. He goes, I learned a lesson from that as well. Make sure you shake everyone's head. But you know what I mean? So people can learn in those sort of situations on the respect side of wrestling as well, which I think is can be sort of like missed to a certain degree in today's form of style of wrestling.
yeah, definitely. I guess glad you brought that up because that's something that I'm high on is the respect and stuff like that. Like when I started, I wasn't bullied or abused or any of that shit. Like it was a safe environment, which all wrestling should be. Um, but we were the first year, isn't that we knew our place and we got told where our place was.
Mm,
And training alongside and taking classes from Rocky Moneros and Nick Armstrong and stuff like that, you wouldn't dare speak up because you wanted to absorb everything they had. And I
mm,
don't know, I didn't know shit. I still don't know shit. I'm going to be sitting there listening and learn my place. We have our pro nights. You know, I asked. I said, "Can I come on these shows? You know, on these trainings and stuff like that." Like I waited my time and went up and asked the boss and said, "Can I come on?" And that sort of stuff. And
mm,
I guess these days, you know, everyone's a little bit too nice, a little bit too friendly, and everyone should be friends and stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong,
mm,
but the people who start off should just, you know, you just got to learn where your placing is.
mhm,
Don't come in and try and tell the coaches how, oh, this is how you do a headlock, or this is how you do a DDT, or whatever like that. Just because maybe you wrestled on your bed like we all did when we were, you know,
yeah.
beating the shit out of our brothers. So I guess in that situation, yeah, I think people just need to learn a little bit more respect and just tone it back a little bit. Um, After the training, let's all laugh and carry on. If we go to have a after the show, go have a beer or whatever we're going to do, awesome. We're all going to be mates.
Mm,
But
100%.
when we're there at training and trying to learn from these guys that have done it all before us, been around for all these different companies, interstate, overseas. We should just be quiet, listen, learn, um, and like I know back in the day from what I've heard, it was a lot worse. The rookies would get their ass kicked and shit like that, and you'd be
Yeah.
scrubbing the toilet with a toothbrush. We've evolved and moved on, which is great. We're not going to beat the shit out of people, which is good. But be told, learn your place is still a thing that should be happening. And yeah, a guy that's 1 year, 2 years in, you're not entitled to what these guys that are 10 years in are getting and doing. So
Mm.
maybe just rein it back a little bit, learn, absorb, and then we'll make it better for everyone.
Yeah, I think that, but like, I don't know if that's necessarily just in a wrestling thing though. Like, do you think that's more in like, and I'm not taking a jab at younger people or anything like that, but do you think it's like, because I think it's there's always that old guy that goes, back in my day, people had respect, and I heard people say that when I was a kid, so I don't want to fucking say that shit, but like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? But it's kind of like the way that I see it, right? Like, do you think it's more of an age thing and a maturity thing than it is just like something that you see in wrestling training?
Yeah, it's definitely not just a wrestling thing. I guess like the world's evolving and we're cutting out all the fucking shit like the sexist shit and all that. We're cutting those idiots out and we're getting
Mm,
rid of the dickheads, which is great. The big bad bullies. So we are evolving, but then I think people are thinking it's too safe to the point where they can, yeah, come into any sort of like a workplace or something like that in your first week in, and you're telling the boss what to do because you don't think, oh, they're not gonna smack me in the head or they're not gonna tell me off or anything like that, so I can get away with it. So I guess in that sense, like, yeah, I think these younger generation are coming up a bit too safe.
mm.
I guess if that's a way of saying it, but there's no one there telling them,
Entitled,
and
maybe.
yeah, entitled, and if you point it out and say, "Hey, man, like, fucking just stop that, just point it back," or something like that, and then they jump on Twitter or something, like you found out yourself, they jump on Twitter and they start going, "Oh, fucking Redshaw said this at training," and next minute or something that's taken out of context, I might be, you know, blacklisted or whatever,
Mm,
cancelled. Um, when you're just trying to be like, "Hey, if you be quiet and learn, 6 months' time, you'll be on that spot, you'll be in that show, more than that guy that's sitting back there talking and fucking around. So I guess it's not just the younger generation, there's people that were in my group or people that have been around longer than me that same thing, just
mm.
get that sense of entitlement. I've done this, I've done that. Um, they think they're better than some of the other people. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like someone coming in straight up to the coaches and going, right, so tonight I want to learn how to do a super kick, a stunner, a rock bottom, and if we got time, I want to do a pedigree, and then we'll do a practice match where I hit all of those on you, coach. All right.
Yeah, well, you come into training early and you seeing someone doing a freaking 450 or something, and I'm like, I've never seen you do a hip toss, and you're out there practicing 450s. Like everyone should learn their moves and stuff like that and get some awesome moves. But you see some of the guys that don't know the basics trying to
Mm,
do these moves and putting people's. It's all about safety. They're putting
yeah,
someone's life at risk. Hey, come in the ring, let me do this move to you, and you haven't seen them do that or do the basics right.
no,
And I'm not saying I'm perfect, no way, but I'm not going to take someone in there and say, "Hey, let me give you a tombstone because I love the Undertaker," when I've never done it and I don't know how to do it. I'm just going to
yeah,
grab someone and start slamming them, and next minute, broken neck or something like that. So yeah, just that sort of. It's good that they're keen and they want to learn, but
baby
dial it back,
steps.
learn the basics first, and then yeah, get someone in there, like get a pro in there with you and go, "Hey, can you teach me how to do this?"
Mm.
Get a mat out, whatever it is, and then go from there.
But I think it's timing because I think like for a majority of stuff with wrestling, like it all, yeah, I mean, like learning to do all the bumps and stuff like that is so important because that's kind of like your foundation. And then it's like, then you sort
Yeah.
of grow from there. It's kind of like you don't sit there and go, right, I want to have an apple, I want to plant an apple tree, but I want to eat an apple now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly, and, like, in your first couple matches, you might not do any moves, like, we're not all, prodigies that can come in and straight away just get it and do everything, so in your first couple matches, you might do one thing or, bump them once or something like that, and you don't know how to do the hip toss that you're meant to do in this match, but some reason you know how to do a Canadian destroyer. And it's just like, how'd you learn that shit? But you don't know how to do a hip toss. So it's like that sort of thing. Like get the basics right, and then we can have fun once we get out there and get you some matches.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like, I think like, do those people get weeded out pretty quickly though? Like, because I mean, like you see those people come in, and it's like, and it's like, maybe you need to be on the other side of the barricade.
Yeah, I think they either weed themselves out, they come in and go, "Oh shit, this is not what I thought it was. I thought it was the PlayStation game. Come in and just do all these moves and
Yeah,
whatever." Or they get told, "Hey, you know,
jog
dial
on.
it back,"
Mm.
or not dial. So well, they give them, the chance. Dial it
Yeah,
back a
sure.
bit. Hey, come on, let's do it. And if they're keen and want to do it, they'll go, "Okay, all right, no worries," and they'll do that. Or yeah, they chuck a fit and go, "All right, see you later," and you don't see them again. So you can tell who's going to be those people straight away,
Mm,
um, and you just in the nicest way you go up to them, "Hey, let's dial it back." The coaches will get them and say that,
mm.
and then they'll go either, "Yep, no worries," or they go, "Fuck you, see you later, not coming back." And you go, "Okay, that's fine. Like we're not gonna baby you in and go, 'Come on, come back.' If you don't want to do it, that's fine." Um,
Mm.
but yeah, you can tell the ones who are keen and the ones that are listening, and it's showing in like the newer group of rookies that we've got coming on our shows now. Like they're always there listening, taking in the notes, and you tell them, "Hey, rein it back." They'll rein it back and they'll get it right, and then go from there.
I think as well, like sometimes people just get excited as well, and I think
Oh yeah, we all
because
do.
I can just imagine like people going into a wrestling gym for the first time or a wrestling training school for the first time and seeing a ring and being like, wow, you know what I mean? Like that would be
Yeah.
exciting for a lot of them, like for a
Oh,
lot of people.
100%. Yeah, yeah. It's still blows my mind sometimes being I'm in a wrestling ring and I'm wrestling and stuff like that. So when you walk in for the first time, it's amazing. It's a lot of us it's our boyhood kidhood dream, going into the wrestling world. So to
Mm,
be in there and to see these guys that you saw on the shows just being the normal blokes and stuff like that, and you're all meeting everyone, getting along with them, and then you get in the ring and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Um, and then I think the common stories they take a couple bumps and they go, oh shit, this is not a
mm.
this is not a mattress. I'll leave, or they go, okay, this is cool. Um, let's go. So yeah, everyone gets excited. We all get excited. I get excited still. Um, and
Yeah.
planning a match, I could throw out a dumb idea. Let's do this off the top or something like that, and then you quickly go, oh, hang on, fuck, I can't do that. So no, I won't do that.
Yeah,
And then
let's do a Spanish fly off the balcony, guys. Come on.
yeah, you're like thinking during the week, oh, what can I do with this guy? I could do this off the top rope, and then you're like, oh, no, hang on, I don't. That's not me. I don't do that. So we'll scratch that and go from there.
So your style of wrestling, like how would you describe it?
Yeah, so mine's more of the powerhouse, big man style. I'm not 7 foot or anything, but I hold myself like that bigger guy. Got the bigger, wider body up the top, so I feel like I can do that. So mine's more of the big slams, the big presses, stuff like that, throwing people around. Um, it was really like at the start, obviously more of that, more robotic stuff like that. But I feel like I'm getting more into a bit more um, athletic style and stuff like that. But yeah, it would be more towards that powerhouse strength style.
Yeah, nice, nice. And like, like is that the sort of style that you enjoyed watching when you were a fan of it? Like, were you looking at sort of the bigger sort of guys, the power moves, and sort of wanting to emulate that?
Yeah, definitely. Like my favorite's Undertaker. So watching guys like him, Kane, then Batista coming through, Bobby Lashley, and when he was coming through first off. So watching those sort of guys, they were always my guys. Watching the big slams and the big spine busters and stuff like that. So yeah, generated towards those guys, and they were my guys. And then yeah, wanted to carry that in, and lucky that I came in with a body and a muscle base that was going to go with that. So, yeah, that's where I sort of
Eh,
emulated.
As wrestling is a big guy, do you like try and protect that as much as you can? And what I mean by that is like, if you're working a smaller opponent, like, are you going to be like bumping all over the ring, or are you going to like when you do bump, are you going to make that mean something more? That you know what I mean? Like, have it like tell a story with it. You know what I mean? If you are wrestling someone small, you like do they chop it down and stuff like that, or how is your style when you wrestle someone who is a smaller stature to you?
Yeah, so my like I got it drilled into me young that when I first started to tell the stories, and I always like the matches that tell the stories. So I try and go out there and tell that story
Mm,
with the smaller guy, have them real quick and that sort of stuff around me, and then eventually, yeah, get me off my feet, sort of thing. So yeah, I do like to. I don't protect it. I probably don't protect it enough as I probably should. But like I'm not the size of like a Baron or a Jake Anawatha. I'm not that big that I couldn't get knocked down. So I try
sure.
to protect it as much as I can and make it mean something. So yeah, like I was really drilled into me. Yeah, like I said, a joke that me and Hayder have is like we come from the school of Rocky Monero. I know I said his name heaps on this, but yeah, he gave me my start. He gave me everything. I know he's going to hate me saying that because his head will get too big, but he drilled into me storytelling, storytelling, make it mean something. What's your why? Why are you doing something? So I like that style. I like the older style. Um, and also, I'm just not that guy that wants to go in there and do 40 moves
Mhm.
and that sort of stuff. I'll get my pops and stuff like that and get my opponent pops by doing something that means something to
Sure.
us and the story.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like, I think that that's honestly the best way to do it because I see some wrestling, even like mainstream wrestling to a certain degree, where you see that, and it's just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like I'm 5'6". I know if I go up to a person who was 6'4", regardless of male or female, and like I try and like punch them or do something to them, it's just gonna be like, what was that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's where it's like it's how you said have it make sense, chop you down, have that meaning of that as well. But it's like, not that you need to be unbumpable, but it's like I think there has to be a process behind that story though.
Yeah, 100%. Like if you see a match, like you see, back in the day, Rey Mysterio, Big Show, and the first 2 minutes, Rey Mysterio is flipping Big Show. You're gonna be like, what takes you out of it straight away. You're like, what is this shit? Um,
Mm,
so yeah, watching those matches that have that story and mean something, and that's where you can have all different kinds of matches of big, small, men, women, men versus women, intergender, all
mm,
that sort of stuff. If it has a good story, you can do anything with no matter how big the person is or small the person is. So yeah, definitely having those stories and the meanings behind it.
mm,
Um, and there's a spot on the show for the spot matches and those guys, and I have utmost respect for them, like to be able to do that and to have the athleticism and cardio to do that. That's awesome. That's just not my style.
yeah. Look, you can make it like I've always said this. There's nothing impossible that you cannot do in professional wrestling. Like there's
Yeah,
nothing that you cannot do. You can make anything believable. You can tell a story with anything. So, yeah, it doesn't matter like whatever style or who's wrestling who or any of that. Anything can be believable. It's professional wrestling.
yeah, 100%. You've got your over the top gimmicks
Mm,
um, that yeah that are still believable, but and they're doing the most outrageous stuff. But you get invested in it and you think this is awesome, and then when they turn it on and they knock that person down or do what they do, you go, oh shit, that was really good. So yeah, anything's possible. Anyone any size can wrestle each other. If you do it right, that's all you need to do, and you get the crowd invested, and that's what you want.
yeah, I mean, look, I think if you get the crowd invested, the crowd reacts to it, and it's over with the crowd, then obviously it makes sense.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, as long as the crowd's not going, "Oh my god, this is just too over the top, ridiculous bullshit." But if it's like, "Whoa," like you've got the crowd captivated in a way. So, like, even if something isn't necessarily always believable, Does that come into a fact as well for you? Like, I'm throwing out another side of the coin. Like I've always said, everything is possible in wrestling. Just make it look believable. But I'm saying, like, if something's over and it's not believable, does that make it bad?
No, well, that's what our job is to get ourselves over or get our opponent over, I guess, at the end of the day. So if you've got an out there gimmick, like I mentioned before, we got a rookie, Mr. Cliff, who comes out, he's a school teacher, and he's giving out people detentions. He's giving out slips of paper, detention, detention, like, as stupid as it may be, it's over, and people love it. And he's a heel, you know? So
Mm,
that some people might go, "Oh, this is bullshit," you know, the old guys or whatever, or whoever might say, "This is dumb," whatever, but he's getting reactions, he's getting booked. So if your gimmick is some people think it's completely stupid and crazy, but you are getting the reactions and you're getting people's interest and bookers are looking at you and stuff like that, by all means, keep going.
mm.
If
Get
you're
that
going
money.
out there and wrestling and you're getting nothing, no reaction, um, no one's really coming up to you after the match and saying, "Oh, this is great," whatever, or you know, you're just going out there and going for the motions, then yeah, no. Find something that can get you over or your opponent over
Yeah.
by, you know, helping them being a base or whatever it is. Then yeah, keep going if it's over.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. And and that's where I think like a lot of it, you know, that like from the other side of the coin looking at it, that's where I was just sort of had that thought is like, fuck, you know what I mean? Like if you're getting that crowd reaction and that crowd's invested, I think you've done your job as a professional wrestler, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen like I've been on shows. I've seen shows where you've had two amazing wrestlers that are names that are draws, and they wrestle each other, and you go, "Oh, this is going to be a dream match. This is awesome watching these two." And backstage, we're back, you know, watching it, go, "Oh, this is wicked. This is wicked." And the crowd's just quiet.
Mm,
There's that much going on, or no selling, or shit's going 100 miles per hour, and the crowd's just like, I don't know what's going on, you know. And it's different crowds. Some crowds will be like,
yeah,
"This is amazing," ah, but our crowd was a bit like, "Yeah, whatever." And then the next match comes out is a comedy gimmick versus a big man or something like that. And they have a 3 4 minute match, and the crowd's going mental. They're laughing, they're clapping, they're having the
mm,
best time. Um, and people might think, "Oh, just the crowd was dumb. They didn't know what was going on." But that's what they want to be entertained by, and they're the guys that will the bookers will go, "Oh shit, let's keep an eye on them and get them back for next time."
but
So
that's where
yeah,
I think as well as like you got to work towards your audience though, and that's what it comes down to. Like you can have those people go out there and put on like, you know, a banger chain wrestling match, right?
yeah,
And like that might be absolutely the best match of the year by anyone could put on. Like the two people just having an amazing chain wrestling match.
yeah,
But if it's just a crowd and the show's being booked at a local RSL club, you know, or something along those lines, you know, is your audience gonna sit there and appreciate that? Or, you know what I mean? Like, is that better for like, you know what I mean? The more like knowledgeable fans and have those matches on you know what I mean? I don't want to say bigger shows, but the ones that have more knowledgeable fans attending where they appreciate that and you get that reaction for it. And I'm not saying like chain wrestlers or any other style of wrestling needs to go and, you know, pants themselves and make themselves look stupid to get a pop, but like,
no,
you know, there's ways around it. And I think working towards your audience to get the reaction from your audience, you know what I mean?
yeah, 100%. Like we were saying before, there's a place for everyone in the wrestling, whether you're a comedy gimmick, an awesome chain wrestler, awesome technical wrestler, or a big dude who throws people around. But yeah, playing to that audience. Like I've gone out, I've been on a show, playing this match with a guy. We had a bit in there. Go out there, there's 10 people in the crowd,
Mm,
and I was the heel for a bit. I become the heel, and I was like, "No, I'm just gonna stuff around, have fun." And I threw out half the match because if we just did the whole match, no one would have cared. You know, there was kids in the crowd, stuff to interact with them, mess around, be stupid. So I
mm,
played to the crowd, sort of thing. So yeah, you know, you can do. Sometimes you're on a show and the crowd's different to what you normally are if you're an interstater or something like that, or like I was in that situation. Or yeah, the crowd's not as big as you thought it was. So maybe, yeah, dialing it back, playing it to the crowd, and then say you get booked on World Series or New Japan or something like that, then go 100 miles per hour and give them what you got, because that's in the end, you probably got more eyes on you from the people that you want if you're trying to go further. So then you can really show them what you got. But if you rock up to your local basketball stadium, whatever, and there's 10 people in the crowd, maybe just and also save your body. Why go out there and do 50 bumps when you can do 3 and tell a wicked story and have fun at the same time?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree and see where you're coming from on that as well, and that's where I think people are probably getting a lot smarter to that and doing that these days. But it's like, there's certain things like that you do see on cards where it's just like you're like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, I've seen some shows where I'm just like, oh. Like, and that's like, I'll go on IWTV or Fight TV and find a random promotion and just watch a show because I love
Yeah.
supporting indies. So like, and I'd see so many different random shows that I can find and just, I'll check out this, and then like I'll see it from there or live or wherever it may be, and see stuff that's just like, oh, they're not getting that reaction, but they're so like headstrong of like, nah, this is you can see them going, nah, we're sticking to the fucking plan.
Yeah, having that, I guess that skill is what you learn as you go along and the years you do it of like, all right, this is the match we have planned halfway through. We're not getting the reactions. Let's just change it up a bit. Work
Mm,
on the fly, change it up. Very hard skill, obviously, but you can tell in those you watch those guys that have been doing it for so long that they start off with what they have, and they can tell, it's getting a bit not getting the reactions they want, and then they change it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, hang on, here we go, and then all of a sudden the crowd's into it, you're into it.
mm.
So yeah, I reckon that's a really good skill for people to develop is that working on the fly and changing things in the middle of a match or reacting to what's happening. If the crowd yells something at you as a heel or you're getting a clap for something that you've done, try it again or something like that. So listening and learning from that is always a big thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's listening to the audience, I suppose, like listening
Yeah.
to what they're wanting from you, and I don't think it's necessarily like having to cater to your. Well, it is, you have to cater to your audience, but it's like you got to pay attention to it, right? Like that's got to be the main thing. Because it's like, oh, I did that, that worked. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
I did that,
absolutely.
that didn't work. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, and you learn for the next time. Like you go out there and you have your match, and there's a few things that worked, and
mm,
you can make a note of them, and then put them into your next match, or something that you tried didn't get over, or you're like, oh, that was really terrible. Then keep it out of the next match or whatever it is, and we're always learning. Like I've been in it 5 years, but I feel like I'm still at day one. There's so much to learn, so many different styles. Like we just had Jack Bonza and Bad Luck Fale here in Adelaide doing a
oh, wow.
seminar and New Japan tryouts with us yesterday and Tuesday, and just the stuff that they told us. Um, some of it you've heard, but the way they told it, and then the new stuff that you pick up from them was amazing. Like just so much knowledge and looking at things from a different way, and especially for myself, learning from two big, strong guys, the way they go about it and move and stuff like that was very very valuable probably a game changing experience for the short term as well.
What advice did they give you?
Um, a lot of it was just general to the group was
Mm,
just slowing stuff down. Like you get told all the time, but slowing down, and being a big one they were keen on was being a presence in the ring, being that sort of larger than life guy person,
mm,
giving 110% from the get go, showing who you are, and the way that like they said on Japan shows, you might have people way up, or even on the bigger indie shows, you got people way up in the grandstands that can't see you,
mm.
making everything bigger, the cells bigger, and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff we get told before, but telling it in a different way. And yeah, just that sort of advice of just making things look believable and
Yeah.
look real. And that's the New Japan style, which is awesome. And but taking that into every other style is making it believable, making it look like a real fight, so then the
Mm.
crowd can actually get into it and go along with it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that that's some pretty sound advice and a pretty good opportunity for everyone. How did you think that went for you? While you were going through that, do you think it was positive? You think they were looking to sign talent?
Yeah, I thought it was an amazing experience, and we had such an amazing turnout from all promotions in Adelaide to there. We had about 40 guys on each one, men and women, sorry. So me personally, I really took a lot away from it, and they were looking to put people on their show coming up in April. They're doing an Adelaide Tamashi show, so to have people to come there and then they're actually going to pick people to be on that show
That's pretty cool.
was an amazing experience, and to be put into to be a part of that big huge group that could be someone that could be chosen to be on a New Japan show, to be broadcast on their network, that sort of stuff
Mm,
was just opportunities like that you don't pass up.
no,
It
100%.
doesn't matter how much it's going to cost. Obviously, money is a big thing and stuff like that, and we're lucky that it wasn't as much as you probably would think, which was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gave up playing basketball on the Tuesday night because I had to be at this seminar. I wanted to be at the seminar. Um, yeah, so stuff like that, sacrifice. Big thing that Farley talked about is sacrifice.
Mhm.
Sacrifice those nights. Getting home last night, 11 o'clock, and then showering, having something to eat, going to bed at midnight to get up at 4 a.m. to go to work.
It's brutal.
I'm more than happy to do that because of what I got out of that out of that seminar.
But that's the thing, man. It's the commitment to that. You know what I mean? Like the commitment to going and training and to you weren't going to miss that seminar regardless of the time that you had to start work the next day. And that's where it's like, what I mean, you're putting in that work and putting yourself out there for it. Whereas, like, we take this conversation to the back when we first started, and we're talking about how people, turning up, putting that work in, putting that effort in, they're the ones that get the opportunities before anyone else.
Yeah, 100%. And like we've had guys that have probably been with Riot City for less than 6 months that rocked up to the seminar, and that was amazing to see these guys come in there and to learn. And just the guys that have we've had guys that have had 3 or 4 matches there. We've had guys like myself. We've had guys that have been in the business for 10 years do it because you're always learning. So to take those opportunities and to go there and do them, especially when it's in our own backyard, it's in Riot City. It was at our house.
Mm.
We know where it is. We can get there. It's easy for us. So to put in that sacrifice of the time, you're not maybe you want to relax at night or whatever you want to do, but yeah, to go there and do that was amazing.
Yeah, no, I can imagine it would have been. But what for you was the biggest takeaway from it?
Just making sure I have that presence in the ring, and really making myself seem bigger than I am, and making it, yeah, obviously more look more real, the selling more real, and really focus on that selling and not overdoing it, but making it big so everyone can see it. So that was some personal feedback I got, and what I took away from it as well is to really emphasize that.
Yeah. And for you, where do you see the end goal in for professional wrestling? Like, what's the carrot dangling in front of your nose?
Um, probably don't dream as big as most of the blokes and women, but my goal is to wrestle in every state in Australia. So I've ticked off most of them at the moment. Um, Once I get every state, I want to get every big promotion in those states. So I want to get your MCWs, your PWAs, those places. I want to get booked on those, and obviously, then I want to become maybe a regular in some of the interstate ones, and get to the point where um, people are messaging me to book me, that sort of thing. And it's such a competitive, obviously, market at the moment, which is amazing for Australian wrestling. And you got to do your cold calls and message promoters and bookers. And there's 50 other guys doing that. But yeah, to be that sort of that name is my sort of goal in Australia. And if I get the opportunity to go overseas, obviously more than happy to take that. But focusing on Australia is my main goal at the moment.
Yeah, no, fair enough, man. And I think that that's probably, probably a good way to look at it, and a healthy way to look at it, really. Like, I think at this stage, do you feel like longer term, like, do you see yourself wanting to go and wrestle overseas and like be full time in a promotion overseas?
Um, uh, I don't know, to be honest. Like, probably not full time in a promotion overseas. Not to say if that opportunity came and I was given, or not given, but given an opportunity to go for that, I'd probably give it a go. But I want to, yeah, focus on the Australia, knock off these smaller goals, and then build up from there. Um, Not saying that my love for it is any different to the blokes that are over in America now putting in the work. You know, Matt
Yeah,
Hayter, Julian Ward, those sort of guys that have shot off and doing that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's just more focusing on Australia. And look, my body is a bit. I've only been in the business for a little bit, but I'm not as young as some of the other guys, and my body has gone through a lot for his sport and powerlifting and stuff like that. So if I'm already complaining like I'm 70 years old, in 10 years we'll see how we go then.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm sure about that, man. But it is that time of the show. It is time for 60 seconds with Pierce. How this is going to work, we're going to fire off a bunch of questions at you, Redshaw, and you've got to answer as many as you can in 60 seconds. Are you ready for this?
Here we go. This will be interesting. Yeah.
All right, we'll start the clock in 3, 2, 1, go. Snapchat or TikTok?
More TikTok lately.
Which celebrity was your first crush?
Tori Wilson.
If you could turn into someone else for a day and live their life, who would it be?
Matt Hayter.
If you could take all the credit for any song in the history of music, which song would it be?
Oh, um, oh Jesus. I don't know anything but corn.
If you could make any change, regardless of how big or small it is to wrestling, what would it be?
um, that flights weren't so bloody expensive, so you can get a interstate easier.
If you could delete one item from the world, what would it be?
Um, I don't know. Aches and pains in your body.
What is something that you enjoy but you're embarrassed to admit that you like? Kind of like your guilty pleasure.
Um, I love singing in the shower, or actually singing around home. I love singing. I think I'm a good death metal singer in my
There
own
you
in
go.
my own head.
There you go. And last one, in 5 minutes' time, you're being shipped out of space. What two personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
um, a squat rack with a bar and plates. I don't know if that counts as one thing. And can you take a dog with you? I'll take a dog.
Yeah, why not? I'll let you take your dog.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that has been 60 seconds with Pierce. With Redshaw, I appreciate you, man, for coming on tonight and giving up your time. Um, Now, where can everyone find you on social media? Where can they get some Redshaw merch as well?
Yeah, so on your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's just Redshaw RCW. Um, uh, Wrestler merch has all my shirts at the moment, like the one you can't really see it, but the one I'm old school one I'm wearing. So you can pick up all my shirts from there. Otherwise, if I'm at a show, I'll have merch on the table, long sleeve shirts, 8x10s, that sort of stuff. So always trying to come up with something new with the merch. But yeah, just hit me up on any of the social medias if you want anything in particular. Happy to post it, that sort of stuff. Or come say hello at the show. I'm always at the merch tables, so I always run out from behind the curtain and say hello, no matter what's going on. I love interacting with the fans, I don't care if I've come to your city and I'm a heel and I've just beat the shit out of your favorite babyface. I'll come out and say hello, and you can tell me I'm a dick, but you'll buy my shirt, and that's all that matters.
Hey, that's it, man. So I end every podcast with this one question, and that is, what question did I not ask that you wish that I did ask? And if I did ask that question, how would you have answered it?
Ooh, I think you covered a lot of the good bases with what I sort of believe in and have to say. I think you probably didn't ask, "Am I going to beat Katie Trey?" Because my answer to that is yes. I'm going to beat Katie Trey, and I'm going to be the first ever Riot City double champion. Um, and bring honor back to that. I know it's a bit gimmicky, but
That's all right.
it's a big match that I'm really looking forward to. And if anyone can get to Adelaide to watch this one April 15th, like the show itself is shaping up to be an awesome show, and it's something that I'm working really really hard on this match, and it's going to be something that's going to be a highlight of my career.
Man, I think main eventing a show and being put in that situation, it's not marky or gimmicky. I think that that's pretty cool because I think that that's where everyone aspires to be.
Yeah, 100%, and to even have a Riot City title on my shoulder is mind blowing for where I am, and I'm a very humble guy. Like I'm not out there saying I'm the best and I can do this and all that sort of stuff. I take every opportunity. I scrap to get what I can get, and to be given that was such an honor and a privilege. And to now be coming up to a main event against a guy who has been scrapping from the bottom for nearly 8 years now, who's gone through the hard work, done all the hard yards to be a Riot City champion as well. Two guys that are just out there just slugging away. It's going to be an awesome opportunity for both of us.
That's it, man. Make sure you turn out and turn up for Redshaw at Riot City Wrestling on April 15th. Is that going to be broadcast anywhere, Fight TV, anywhere at all?
I don't think it'll be broadcast live, but it will come out on YouTube within a week after. We've got an awesome, if they're listening, our social media team, amazing group of people. The content they're putting out on social media, the turnaround on the YouTube shows, like that. We have a show on Saturday. We could have the show up by Wednesday night, fully edited, commentary, everything you need. So they do an amazing job. I want to shout them out before I go, because without them, we wouldn't have the eyes on us, wouldn't have yourself hitting me up to do these podcasts, that sort of stuff, because we wouldn't have the eyes on us. And probably just to take up more of your time, the question you had, what would I change in wrestling? Probably would be for promotions to have their content put out. I've wrestled a lot of places where they're either not filmed or you never see them, or like no one sees them, and they could have. I've had matches with crowds of 150, 200 people, so you've got the following there, but then the shows don't go anywhere. They don't get that traction online like some of the other promotions. So probably that. And I know it takes a lot of work with a social media team and people putting in the effort, but that would be something that would be amazing to have more shows go up on either YouTube, Fight TV, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. The more content, the better. And it's like it gets that brand out there more. So, I'm all with it and I'm all for it and I'm with you. But, man, thank you for being on the show, man. I really appreciate it. And we got to do a part 2 somewhere down the line, bro, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. It's been a blast. I won't lie, I was nervous coming in for a live interview. I don't do this much, so I'm not a big talker on the socials like this. But no, it's been awesome, man. I really appreciate you reaching out.
All good, man. We'll talk soon. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you go and check out our sponsor, Sleeves. The link is in the description. But until next time, take care. All the best. Peace.